All right, hey everyone, welcome to the Rarible Community Call on May 27th. We have an agenda which I can share right here. Oh, no, that's my to-do list. There we go. Agenda for today, product updates from Alex, if there are any. There's a couple new proposals up, so I'm going to flash up. I thought it'd be cool to start having cool NFT projects talk during these calls. That might not even be related to Rarible protocol, but just to kind of get exposure to things that are going on in the space and to just get some cool projects talking. So there's two projects I asked to come on board today, ETHblockart and Geoweb. So they're gonna kind of give an overview of what they're doing. And then any updates from Ethan? I know last week there was something. I'll just open it up for you. And then some other things, and potentially, if we have time, we can jump into a Miro session again. So why don't we get started? Alex, do you have any updates to give or anything like that?
Yep. I can comment on the current release that broke our prod. Unfortunately, for a couple minutes, the engineers are fixing that. So first of all, that was a long road here, but we finally released the combined item, and that is the feature that I wanted to hear feedback on. Probably, it is the one that, like previously, the marketplace operated with ownerships. Instead of the items on the back end. I mean, on the back end, it's still the same, but on the front end as well. So when you got to the item, it was listed as the collection address, then item ID, and then the owner address. I don't know if you ever noticed, but basically when you were looking at the item, you were looking at the particular item sitting at somebody's hands. So that was like the current owner of that item presented the item. And if you wanted to buy that from another owner, you needed to go under owners to click there. That would give you the item of another owner, and you could buy there. So that was a little bit confusing, and that resulted in the created tab being populated with a lot of items. Like all the copies of your items were duplicated in the created tab. In the most liked section, it was also duplicated. And now we finally got rid of this. And, oh, site backup, right? Somebody's commented on that.
Great.
Yep, it's back up. A second. I need to tell the guys that it's so good.
Okay. All right. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. We broke prod. That's always a good sign, pushing things forward. All right. So
back up. Sorry, guys. So a combined item is up now. I guess I can even show it. Do you want me to show it?
Yeah. Let me make you post the host here. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we've actually rolled back the release.
I see.
Yeah, so won't show it, but it will be rolled out soon. Then we added alternative text for the minting. So now you can, that's for disability purposes. For accessibility, you can now, when you're minting an item, you can add an alternative text to it, and that would be read with voiceover. Then we've created the new notification for the royalties payout. I guess that can be interesting for the authors that are like looking forward to get their royalties paid out, and that's great. Then a couple of internal optimizations. Now the item history is displayed from the same as the activity tab. So that's just internal support. We rolled out the support for contract-based wallets, such as Argent, to be able to work with Rarible. And that's kind of a big deal because the contract-based wallets, they can sign because there is no private key in the contract-based wallet, and that's why you can sign. So there is the specific extension for, it's called ERC 1271, that allows you to sign with the smart contract-based wallet. We've implemented that. Now you can use Rarible with Argent and with Gnosis Safe and with any other contract wallet. And with the DAO, a lot of DAOs look like the contract wallets. So you will be able to use Rarible as well. And the big woohoo, now Rarible supports uploading files up to 100 megabytes instead of 30. That was one of the easiest changes that we did on the back end, and I guess that will be the most widely accepted by the creator community. Yep, a couple of bug fixes. Yep, somebody wanted to comment. So emojis in the username, fixed conversion of WETH, and optimized some things. So yeah, and
lots of stuff.
More button, more feature. So
are there? I'm just curious. Like, are there any written updates of these? Like, it'd be really good if we could like have product updates. I saw just recently, Foundation had a specific Twitter channel dedicated to product updates and releases and stuff like that. I mean, we can do that as part of the DAO, and we sort of have been, but it'd be good if it was like, here are the bullet points of all the updates, and both at the protocol level on the product side. Could be an interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just throw that out there, Alex. Like if there's an opportunity whereby we can, do a summary of, what's being released from a product standpoint, that's something you would want out in the newsletter, for the ecosystem, or something could be provided to the community ahead of time. That was something that was wrapped up in our initial proposal, where myself and a business partner, that's something that we've done for a long, long time. And can kind of serve it up in a way where, one, it's the update, but two, what's the practical application of that value and how it relates to the community is something we could do if interested.
Okay, yeah, we need to think about it because we do have in internal documents with all the updates. We are usually making that into the tweets on Rarible Twitter, and sometimes to blog posts if that's a big update. I wonder how can we incorporate that into the other updates.
Yeah, we can talk about it offline.
Okay. Yeah, one more bigger update is that Rarible partially migrated to protocol. We now, Rarible.com marketplace now receives all the information about all the NFT mints and transfers and purchases from the protocol. We're not yet on the exchange V2 on the protocol, but we're using protocol for all the like indexing work. So that was finally made. We're super happy to release that. Hopefully we'll release the phase 2 and phase 3 really soon, and we'll have all the cool features of the protocol on Rarible.com marketplace.
Huge, great, amazing. All right, so next up, I was going to show some proposals, but I think I know that at least Adrian needs to leave at past. So we're going to jump into some cool projects in the NFT space. There's Gravin here from Geoweb, and then Adrian from ETHblockart. So Adrian, do you want to kick things off and showcase a little bit what your project is about, your vision, and stuff like that? Up to you, what you want to talk about.
With pleasure. Thank you, Eric, so much for having me in this call and to present ETHblockart. Is it easier if I share my screen maybe just for a few minutes? That's possible?
Yeah, you should have the rights now.
Thank you. I'll try to keep it very short. So stop me if I take longer than 5-10 minutes tops. So yeah, hello everybody. My name is Adrian. I'm the founder of ETHblockart, or to be called the Blockart protocol soon enough. It is a project that was launched January 6th, so it's been live for the past few months. And I guess the most holistic pitch that I can give is an exploration of deterministic art. And what is deterministic art? It's basically generative art, which is based off deterministic data sets. And of course, in our case, the Ethereum blockchain, right? So one quick introduction is that we all know Ethereum, we all love it. It's this public good global machine that we expect to live on beyond our lifespan. And yeah, these data points are immutable, are persisted, and we can actually use it to create either abstract art or data visualizations. I just wanted to go through a few screens here just to give you like a overall understanding. It is based on the idea of block styles, which you can think of very much like a code template, which leverages blockchain data and allows other participants to mint their own NFTs with. And a cool insight is that these block styles are also NFTs, which can be sold via Rarible. So you can think of somebody purchasing this code-based NFT, which gives them access to fees being gathered by the style and gives you ownership over the whole template. On this side, you see the actual block art NFTs, which are minted by any general participant interacting with the templates that I just showed prior and paying a fee to the block style creator or the block style owner, actually. So by buying one block style NFT, you actually get access to the fees being collected here. So he uses the block style, and he also uses a individual block on Ethereum. This is the entropy, the data set that is fed into the template, which allows you as the creator to essentially manipulate. So here you can see an example of a block style in action. This is the Mendo grid made by Geoweb. And as a general participant, I get to either navigate throughout all the blocks in the history of Ethereum and to also modify some parameters to make it to my liking, right? And from here, I get to mint this by giving a title and a description. And this is literally my creation. Lost context. One feature that I wanted to tease, since I'm getting this opportunity to pitch, is that one major release that we have coming up is the idea of a complete self-serve experience for block style creators. So one major bottleneck today is that it requires to go via the operators, so the team behind ETHblockart, to submit a new template. So we're changing that to allow anyone to come to the site, to write their code, to create the whole editor experience, and with a few buttons, submit that to IPFS. One interesting element here, which I think is very relatable to Rarible, and something that, thinking about the Rarible protocol, I would love to explore. We have a relatively complex setup for royalties, right? So we actually split royalties three-way. The person that mints the Blockart NFT gets most of the royalties. The owner of the block style NFT that I just talked about gets 3%, and the platform gets only 1%. So this is something done extremely manually today, and I hope to automate soon enough. And I think using the protocol mechanics can be a great way to do this in a trustless way. Oh, that's another tab. And this is a blog post that I'm happy to share as well, written by a community member, a block style creator, that kind of covers from a high level some of the virtues, I guess, of the platform, right? So beside being a platform that allows you to mint your own NFTs, is also a way to create this virtuous supply chain to some extent, right? So every participant in this economy to some extent, they benefit from the creations of other creatives before them, and they also distribute value to these creators before them. Yeah, I guess like I'll stop here. I kind of did mention I wanted to make this super brief, but happy to answer any questions. And again, appreciate the opportunity to talk about the project. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. Pretty cool. I'd love to open it up, see what people think. Definitely a really interesting area, this area of programmatic art.
I guess I have a question. So for the programmatic art, is the results static? So when you mint an item, is it static?
It is not, actually. That's a great question. So it started as mostly static because we do generate an image, right, that is stored in the token URI metadata. But the most important aspect of the block art NFT are actually the settings, so the configuration that was done by the creator. And you can see this one has music, so I'm not going to do that one, not to make things too noisy. Actually, I will do that one because it's cool. Takes a little while. And yeah, I think my computer is being a little bit slow, but this is the actual native experience of the block art NFT, right? So this is realized by, and if I press, you can actually hear music, but I don't want to do that now. He actually realizes this experience by pulling in the block style code and pulling in the configuration applied to the block art and recompounding this just in time. But yeah, that's a great question. Thank you.
So this is the JavaScript code that gets executed in real time?
Exactly. Yeah. And go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Basically, I'm asking from the perspective that, like, how can Rarible display those things? And right now, we don't support display of the JS code. I'm not catching up on the security standpoint. Like, do you vet the code, or is it just considered to be safe when ran in the iframe or some container or something like that? Can you share some light on that end?
Sure. Both, right? So to answer the first point, taking, for example, what OpenSea does, they have this new attribute animation URI, I think, inside the metadata, which you can pass in the URL to just an HTML file, which then they cache in the server and they display that in an iframe, right? So first of all, the iframe is a critical piece of this whole setup. You wouldn't want some malicious code to be presented in the user's browser. Well, another layer that we introduced at ETHblockart is that we do everything JSX-based. So these are actually React components, which allows us to prevent a little bit of some hacky code manipulation to be injected into the code style. But also we do vetting, right? So that is like an onboarding process that somebody updates a style and that gets added to the style list, right? So the allow list that we have within the registry. So yeah, multiple layers there to exactly, help with that side of things, but it's definitely like a major consideration.
Okay, so I guess we can catch up sometimes about adding that to Rarible.
I would love that. Yeah, that would be a cool conversation for sure.
Yeah. And with the Rarible protocol moving forward, you will be able to add them yourself to allow people to list directly from your website and add your own fees if you're interested. But I won't take the screen time.
Yeah, definitely really interested in looping Adrian into the protocol and seeing what we can do there, because I think it's some really interesting possibilities.
I have a quick question for Adrian. From the creation standpoint, is there a plan to actually add more modifiers on through the art making process?
That's a good question. So the modifiers are actually made by the creative coder that creates the block style, right? So a conversation that I've had with a few artists, that it creates almost like a conversation and interaction between the creative coder and the actual general participant creator on the other side. So in the process of creating the block style, you actually, oh, these are the controls that I want to surface to the person on the other side. Yeah, it's a great dynamic that happens.
That's sick. That's sick. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you, Eric. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, let's follow up another time.
Yeah, totally. Super cool. Thanks, Adrian. I know you got to hop off, but all right. We can move on to Graven. Are you around? I saw you earlier.
Yeah, I'm here. Could you give me screen share?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no worries. Oh,
The button moved on share screen.
okay. Are you recording now?
I paused it, then I just hit play.
Oh, okay.
Should be
All
recording.
right, sure. Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's all good. We'll see what happens after the fact.
My bad. You can
No
see
worries.
my screen now, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Graven from the Geoweb, one of the co-founders. The Geoweb is in jargon, is a augmented reality metaverse. But practically what that means is a set of protocols and property rights that allow us to coordinate the anchoring of digital content into the physical world. So it can be experienced side by side. That's what we mean by augmented reality. So you can think of it like a layer that covers Earth's surface, that's persistent, it's continuous, and in our case, it's community owned. It's a public good. And that layer is split up into digital land parcels that are NFTs that someone can own and control, and they gain the exclusive right to anchor content within the bounds of that land parcel while they're the owner of that NFT. And as a user, you would navigate, as you move through the world, you would be also navigating the GeoWeb. You would seamlessly move from one land parcel to another without really thinking about it. So why are we building this? As our devices transition to the next generation with smart glasses, our user experience is going to become even more pervasive, continuous, subconscious. And the current models of UX that we have right now, we think are insufficient for this experience or what it could be, but also the economics and the user empowerment that we want to see. The App Store model is broken. We want to see the open Web3 model. So what would you use the GeoWeb for? NFT display, obviously near and dear to this community's heart, but really it's about replacing atoms with bits in the real world, as at least for your human eye can see. So that can be interactivity, games, it could be transactions, it could be data streams, or something as simple as flat web content. Put a website in a restaurant so that when you visit the restaurant, you see the menu as soon as you walk in, rather than scanning a QR code or using a piece of paper. There's other augmented reality metaverses out there. We're essentially creating this metaverse out of thin air, just like a virtual reality, but obviously it's anchored in the real world. So that, I think, creates a different sort of dynamic in how this network needs to be treated. And so our differentiation is really that we're a public good and completely open source, not taking any investors. It's just bootstrapping this with our community, and then using a concept called hamburger taxes or partial common ownership to manage the land market. There's actually a team building a NFT-based or hamburger tax-based NFT protocol as a part of Rarible NFT. We've been chatting with them, but the idea of hamburger taxes is it's somewhere in between pure private ownership and communal ownership. And you achieve that by having people self-assess the value of their property, pay a percentage annual fee, monthly fee, time-based fee on that self-assessed value, but then add the wrinkle that anyone can come purchase that property from you by paying the self-assessed value. So it creates a market, a global market for our land that has some really interesting side effects for us. First, it helps us establish legitimacy. I believe the auction-based model of just creating an AR metaverse auction off to the highest bidder and not recognizing that there's an inherent tie to the physical world. If you own a piece of property and you're excluded in any sort of way from owning the land, that's just a bad start. So we say legitimacy by fairness and by participation. Market efficiency, the Harburger taxes punish squatters. I don't know if you've ever tried to purchase a high value domain name, but because people can just buy a domain name and pay 10, 20 bucks a year, sit on it, those negotiations are not very fruitful and can take years and millions of dollars because you can just hold out for whatever price you want. And then the final is all of our Harburger tax partial common goods network fees are going to be reinvested into public goods and returned to users to be used on their individual volition for private goods that have positive externalities. So what's it look like? There's a lot of moving pieces. This is kind of on the cutting edge on a couple different things, or maybe bleeding edge. But the main part of our architecture is really our Ethereum smart contracts and the subgraphs that make that navigable built on top of that. We do have like a content layer. We're using Ceramic and IPFS to help do peer-to-peer content resolution. And then on the other side, we have kind of like a domain name registrar / CMS tool called the Cadastra, which is used to buy and claim land on the GeoWeb and then publish content to it. I can hop over to some demos quick and then hopefully open up to questions. This is the Cadastra. I mentioned it's kind of like a domain name registrar / CMS tool. We are just in testnet, and this is broken right now because we are part of Ceramic's V1 mainnet launch, and that is in process right now. But essentially, it's a global map with this layer that I referenced of digital land parcels. To claim a parcel, you would just simply click on the map. My computer is going to go a little slow. Essentially, you can define a land parcel on the map, however size, however big, small you want it. You set your self-assessed fee, pay the network, or set your self-assessed value, pay the network fees, and then you can start linking content to it. I won't go through with all that, but then on the flip side, the browsing experience is best used on a mobile device for obvious reasons. I don't carry around a laptop moving around very much, but this spatial browser is just a simple web app. This is kind of like a bare bones version of what it would be like to navigate the GeoWeb. We have two modes here right now. I've just simulated a land parcel in Antarctica, linked a Wikipedia article to the space. So if you were to visit this, you get the helpful Wikipedia content, and then 3D AR content. And again, if I was on a mobile phone, I'd be able to tap through on this through the lens of my camera. I would see that penguin in the physical world side by side with ice and snow. And so that is the quick and dirty version. If you want to open it up to questions, I'm glad to rehash any of that. I know I went pretty quick.
Thanks, Raven. Yeah, it's such a different contrast between the previous project and this project. Both equally cool in very different ways. But any questions for Graven? Cool. All right, so we can move on to the next part. We have a couple proposals. So we have on Snapshot, we have Dow House and Minty Fresh. So if you're not used to going on Snapshot and voting, make sure you do go. and vote for these two proposals. They both end in 2 days. Minty Fresh actually, just to give an update, I wrote this in the newsletter, but they did have a previous proposal, and in the last half hour, there wasn't much participation on this proposal for whatever reason. It wasn't included in our newsletter, and I guess we didn't promote it very much. And so there was low participation in the last half hour. Someone voted to flip the vote, and just morally, I think that we should just do it again, because someone shouldn't wait for the last half hour to flip the vote if they have a lot of tokens. So anyways, second shot there for Minty Fresh. All right, so that's that. Creator Collective, I know they have a proposal that's up in the forum. It's going to be going up on Snapshot soon. I realize that I want to make sure that all the proposals get mentioned while they're live in the newsletter. So our newsletter generally goes out on Monday. So yeah, I just need to figure out what the timing of that should be, so that we generate enough awareness. One of the things we're trying to do is get more people voting. There's actually, surprisingly, if you look at some of these votes, I find it very surprising, because you have where's all the voters? You have a decent amount of holders with a few hundred, and then you have a really long tail of so many small voters, like people with 1 rari, 0.1 rari, 0.01 rari, like so many people. It just shocks me. It's pretty amazing. So anyways, we want to make sure we get more voters and more eyeballs on these proposals. So we'll have to figure out the logistics of that.
Hey, Eric, did you say it was or was not in the newsletter?
What is that?
Did you say it was or was not in the newsletter?
So Minty Fresh was not in the newsletter, and so there was a low participation rate. I don't know if it was because it wasn't in the newsletter, but it definitely played a role. So I included it. I included the new Minty Fresh proposal in the newsletter this week.
Got it.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like voting, you mentioned what would it look like for the DAO to actually delegate, like have like voter delegation, sort of like the same as like how Gitcoin does it. I mean, something to I guess consider in the future, maybe. Yeah,
totally. Well, I think that voting delegation is something that we are moving towards. So with the staking that's being worked on, delegation should be part of that. So we're going to do a big refresh on that front.
There are 2 ways to create delegation. One of them would be built inside the staking contract. So when you stake tokens, the particular stack of tokens that you staked for a specific time, you would be able to delegate that to another address just by simply calling a smart contract, providing the delegatee address, and the smart contract, when it would calculate the voting power, it will get back to you with the staking, with the delegated voting power as well. That's one path. And another one is to make the delegation only working in Snapshot. So there is another like standalone delegation contract created by Gnosis team that is actually like arbitrary. You can just log in with your address and delegate, say that I'm delegating all my stuff for Rarible to another address. You don't specify any token amounts, anything, just my address in the Rarible scope would be delegating to this address. And then we can configure the snapshot specifically so that snapshot respects that extra smart contract with delegation when it gets the sum of your voting power. That's 2 paths to take. If we are on the snapshot, the second is easiest to implement. If we are moving out of snapshot, the first one is the way to go, because like no other ways. The first one has only one downside, that you would actually need to delegate and undelegate by the actual like your stack, not all my tokens, but on the your stacks.
So we're looking into it. Long story short. All right. So what else?
Just one question, Eric.
Oh, yeah.
So Vijay here from Bitscreen. So we didn't get a chance to feature in one of the recent newsletters, I mean the wash trading application. So just to clarify that, only if the proposal goes to snapshot, it will get a place in the newsletter, or how is the process?
No, I mean, we do feature some of the proposals that are in the forum as well,
Okay.
that we need some eyeballs. But I think yours was included in some previous newsletters, and it wasn't like in urgent need for the community to like look at it and comment on it. So that was the reason. But also, you know, I don't know, there's a bit of flexibility on what's included there. Generally, it's just proposals that like we'd like to get more attention on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I think we should talk about that, Eric, because, you know, sometimes, there's ones, to your point, VJ, in the forum, and then there's ones on Snapshot. And, you know, for us, it's we want to make sure everyone gets as much exposure as possible. And with pertinent information and updates, but, you know, at the same time, you know, there's been a little bit of bifurcation on, you know, what we want to kind of include or not include. So, you know, there should, for our sake and for fairness sake, what is the catalyst that marks inclusion into the newsletter, or at what point, you know, do they reach that where we want to be able to do so?
I mean, it's a bit subjective, to be honest. I think that generally it's proposals that we need to get some attention on, either comments in the forum, new proposals that are interesting and are getting traction. But if a proposal's been there for a few weeks and, you know, we reviewed them in the proposal call, and there's some changes pending, I mean, we should just be conscious that we're you know, people's attention is limited, so we have to kind of focus, you know, and it is very subjective. So I think we should just talk about it on a weekly basis when we send it out, and see what we want to focus the community's attention on.
Can I add one thing, Eric? Oh, just a quick note. I just think it's also important that people, when they post on there, to actually engage with the rest of the community in there. You know, I'm on there like daily, seeing what the conversation's like, and that's a really great way to build awareness. The newsletter is amazing too, but like I've met so many people just from engaging on there. So whenever I do a proposal, I reach out to them, let them know, hey, I want your feedback. So I think that helps.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Actually, when I was more like in the weeds of DAOs, I would always do that as well. So I'd work on a proposal, I'd send it to multiple community members, you know, get some feedback and thoughts. You know, once it's posted, I'd also talk to people about the proposal. Hey, can I get your thoughts? So yeah, that's definitely a good strategy. Okay, so Ethan, I don't know if you have any updates to give. I know last week you talked about doing some, you know, getting through all the backlog of the submissions. Do you have any updates to give?
Not much to say, except thank you to everyone that reached out. The support was overwhelming, and I'm very grateful for everyone who reached out. We have a couple meetings next week and we're ready to go. So thank you.
Great. I know there's a lot of creators who are going to be really happy once that time is shortened. So good luck with that. Okay, so I created a Rarible DAO account on Rarible.com because I thought we should start minting NFTs and things like that. I don't really have a plan for it more than that. I'd love to do like badges and like all sorts of things. And especially once we have lazy minting, we can start distributing it out like to meeting attendees and like all this stuff. So yeah, if you guys want to share your Ethereum addresses, maybe we can start. I thought we could just like start doing like drops for NFTs for people who participate in the DAO and stuff like that. So if you guys want, you guys can share your Ethereum address. And you know, I know in a previous call we did some sort of event like that. Is the best way to do that like a form, or what do people feel about just dropping their Ethereum addresses, or is that just in
Maybe
the
let's do a
chat?
form, maybe, for like privacy.
Okay, sure. That sounds good. Mark, do you want to whip up a form and then we just share the link before the end of the call?
Sure, yeah. Where does it point to? To yours? To your email?
No, it doesn't matter. You can use it on yours. It's fine.
Okay.
Just for this time, and then we'll talk about how to
Yeah.
set it up properly.
Got it.
Okay, cool. So lastly, any other business? So anybody else have any updates or comments, concerns, things they want to talk about?
I have an interesting thing to talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
Do I have a couple minutes? Okay, so it just popped up in my mind recently. I guess a lot of people are here familiar with our royalty system, on-chain royalty, which is like V1 and V2, the interface that NFT smart contract can comply with to be able to our Rarible marketplace to pick up the royalties on those items. And this is actually quite cool because other marketplaces can look into the same just baked in royalties into the asset and can respect them. So for example, Foundation team implemented that standard to their NFTs. And now when the Foundation NFTs are sold in Rarible, we support the creator royalties. And this is like so simple. When you bake in, there should be a smart contract call that can answer what is the royalties for this particular item, and then the exchange just respects that field. So I thought, what if we go and make that an official royalties standard for Ethereum? Because everyone is now doing all the deferral things. Yes, Foundation integrated.
That's huge. That's huge. That's great. Are they the first project to integrate?
Not really. The first like $1 million CryptoPunk draw integrated. Basically, a lot of like sophisticated projects that came up with their own smart contract, they were integrating. I'm constantly sending that piece of doc to people to look at, and yeah, it's a great standard. I mean, it's not a standard yet, but it's so simple. It can become a standard because the current standard that is live, it's not live, but is proposed on Ethereum. It's like so complicated. They supposed to add like various calls and nobody uses that. And we have the piece of things that are used by all the Rarible NFTs and as well as Foundation NFTs, and now other people start to integrate that as well. So if anyone is interested, I guess we can try to draft the EIP and push it together. The team doesn't have the capacity to do it, but I guess that's the exact set of like tasks that I know we're gathering here for.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So yeah, if
something
you
to think about.
Any of your friends that are capable in like writing and can just like explain the rationale behind and how it all works. It's a couple pages draft, and then yeah, your name would be on the Ethereum proposal. That sounds, I don't know, to me it sounds great. I would love to have my name.
So is the idea that the standard would basically be like to integrate into our protocol?
No,
or
you don't need to integrate it into Rarible protocol. You just need your NFT when your ERC 721 contract to have one method, get royalties. That method accepts the ID of item, and it returns the number in basis points. So like 1% would be 100 basis points, and that's it. So you can display like several items or several addresses with respectful like amounts for them.
Very cool. Well, if anyone's technically oriented and interested in this,
yeah, I have a question. What's the difference with the with the one that is currently pending, like from Mintable, I think?
I guess the main difference is that it's complicated. On-chain, and that one that we use is used by us and Foundation.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to look at the details of what the implementation requirements would be.
I pasted the link.
Oh, I see. And can you paste the information that you've been sending to projects for the changes they need to make?
I mean,
what information did you send to Foundation for them to, you know, adhere to our standard? I guess it's just our docs, or?
Yep, it's this page.
Oh, I see. Okay.
What timeline do you want to get this into an EIP?
I just have an idea so far.
Like a week or two?
I guess I had this idea a couple months ago as well as now, so we're flexible.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm trying to do too many things at once right now, probably, but I can if I can feel free to loop me in, and I've written an EIP before, so I can try to help.
Big scope.
Awesome.
I have a quick question though. The EIP that was shared there, is that the standard you're talking about, or is this is the more challenging one?
This is the one that is up for
ERC
2012. This 20. So last year September, and it's been floating at some newsletters from time to time. And the last time I looked into it, it was pretty difficult to use. I haven't looked at it, but we can either like extend that to a new one, like to make some improvements or something like that, or to propose our own.
But the one you said the Foundation did is one that you proposed and they adapted, or they used this one?
Yes, the Foundation adopted our one.
I think it's like one of the most important things to like that any NFT platform could do right now, because there's such a misconception that NFTs have their royalties attached to them and that they innately everything will be resolved, and people like really believe this, and it's not the case unless all the marketplaces you know, adapt or like you know, use that standard, which there is no standard that they all combine with. But I think part of that EIP would also need kind of a little bit of a marketing push to kind of like get all those people to kind of like adapt to it, make like some videos and like, you know, squash the myths, because every time you go in Clubhouse, no, because the royalties are this and the royalties are that. But it's like imagine Amazon and eBay like saying I sold it on eBay and then I go sell it on Amazon and then tell Amazon, give me my royalty. That if they don't agree, they're not gonna give me anything. So it's very important, I believe.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so community support for this would be awesome. So reach out to myself or Alex if you're interested in helping out with that. We only have 4 minutes left, so we're probably not going to have time to jump into Miro. But yeah, we'll save time next week for that. No, it's all good. How did you guys like having like guest projects that are just in the NFT space? I thought it was a cool addition.
Yeah, it was a nice change of pace. Just see how people are. It's just different how other people are actually using the stuff that we're all trying to build.
I mean, it'd be interesting to like grow these calls into like almost like education about things going on in the NFT space, even though it's not necessarily always related to the protocol, but could be a good way to like attract, you know, a broader audience of people just interested in NFTs and you know, get exposure to what we're doing too. Cool. I saw a heart there, so that's good. All right, guys, thank you so much. It's really great to hang out with you guys every week. So thanks for everyone who's coming. And if you saw the form that Mark sent over, drop your wallet addresses. And yeah, I really want to get something going in regards to creating NFTs and badges and all that stuff. So, you know, hopefully once lazy minting is done, we can start doing something fun. See you guys. Have a good Thursday.
Thanks. Bye.
See you guys.